So hello there everybody. This is Tenacious Earl, and this is a new thing I'm going to try here, and it's going to be called Live from the Tenacious Dugout. And what is the Dugout? Well, it's my little cubby hole here where I play my games and hopefully get to chat with all of you from time to time. Because a lot of what goes on here on Tabletop Baseball Plus relates to the world of tabletop sports. On Tabletop Baseball Plus relates to... there's a lot more to life than that, but obviously the reason that you follow this channel mostly is because of tabletop sports, but you know, and so it's not like it's gonna not have anything to do with that, but I don't know, we play a lot of games here on the channel, and I don't know, sometimes it's just kind of nice to have a little chat about things, you know, just get some things off the chest. Lets anybody who's tuning in live on the live stream here have a chance to offer a question or two, and I'll do my best to answer that. And give me a minute here. I need to check one more thing. I think everything is on the up and up here. But, you know, I want to ensure that we've got things in good shape here for all of you. So I want to make sure that my voice is coming through. Oh yeah. Good. Because I have been trying to... I think this webcam works out pretty well for voice. I know I got some good feedback with the headset, and while I think it does offer a really good opportunity for the mic to be like right up there, close by, I think this the mic that's embedded in the webcam that I have here should be pretty good. So what's this about? So I don't know. Let's just riff off some of the topics that come ahead. First off, the Super Bowl. You know, I think I've seen a lot of people on the different message boards and groups playing like these pre-plays and things like that, you know, trying to simulate what would happen in the Super Bowl. And I think, I don't know if I ever saw one that said 13-3 or anything that was under 20 points total scored. So, you know, I think there's a lot of validity in enjoying the idea of just playing a game on your tabletop that simulates something that's going to be happening in real life. But, you know, on the other hand, it also exposes some of the frailties that come from tabletop gaming, which is that, you know, now granted, there may be a couple games that, you know, maybe someone, if they played it 100 times, they'd get to a 13-3 final score out of these teams. Having said that, about the game itself, you know, you just get this feeling every time that you see the New England Patriots in a game that they're kind of like the cat, and the other team is this mouse, and you've got Belichick and you got Brady just there smacking that mouse around, just like playing with him, just trying to like let him think he has a fighting chance there, you know. And I think, but also still in a dominant role where you have, you know, the Patriots were never. And so another thing that you can take away, I think, from last year versus this year. So the thing that the Eagles did that I think you never saw from the Rams, which was interesting, was the Eagles, they weren't afraid to flip the script a little bit. They did not. That's one of the things that I think the Giants and the Eagles, the teams that have fared well against the Patriots in Super Bowls, they didn't play afraid. You know, you had the Philly special with the Eagles. They, you had New England try a trick play on them. Well, they weren't afraid to go ahead and throw a trick play out there against Belichick and company. You know, they really just pulled one out of their rear ends, and it worked for them. And this game yesterday, the Rams played like the ones being just dominated the whole time. You know, there was nothing new. You know, for a coach like Sean McVay, who is lauded as like the next great thing in the NFL, I mean, what did he really accomplish yesterday? You know, he is supposed to be an offensive mind. You know, he's coming away from this game in particular with, I think, his stock having dropped a good deal. I think Belichick is a mastermind, but I don't think the other thing is, you know, regardless of McVay's success or failure or stock dropping or being the same or whatever, you know, Jared Goff did him no favors there. For whatever reason, Goff played like a guy who was just, it didn't belong in that game. He played like he was running scared, and, you know, Belichick did a great job of putting him in that position, but you know, that's a game that's there for the taking. But, you know, I think like I said, I think what you've seen with New England is that if you're going to play like a weakling and let New England dictate the game for you, then you are going to lose. And, you know, and it's not to say that you can't lose a game playing aggressively and sort of flipping things on their head from what Belichick expects, but because you could still lose that kind of game. You know, I think Seattle being in that position, you know, with the whole throwing the ball on the goal line instead of running it with Marshawn Lynch is a primary example of that. But I really think you have an extremely difficult time beating New England if you're just going to come at them with what you always do. And that's not to say that I wouldn't say the Rams did only what they always did. Actually, one of the things that I felt like hurt them is, and it seemed like it was this way for the whole playoffs, but I feel like their experience in the Superdome, where they had trouble communicating, led them to kind of pare away some of the adjustments at the line, which may have helped them if they had done that. So let's see, what do we got here? This is Steve Cox said Elwood Blues. Yeah, I don't know. Someone said about, so I had on a different. So I've gotten to the point where I kind of like the bucket cap. I don't know why. I bought one at Disney, and it's just kind of a nice, laid back feeling. And then someone was like, well, you should put on sunglasses. Well, I don't really own a pair of sunglasses, but so these are my kids. But I figured, hey, you know what? It's kind of a, I don't know. It's just a laid back feeling. I like trying to be laid back if I can. I get wound up a little too easily, and so okay, back to some other stuff about the Super Bowl, since I think, and again, feel free to comment with questions here. If you're on the live stream, I would be happy to answer them. But so I approached anybody who follows my main account on Twitter. I'm not going to post it because I don't know. I'm not sure I'm not necessarily here looking for follows or anything like that, but I had seriously considered just boycotting the game. I've not been able to trust my ability to control my emotions when it comes to especially a game involving New England. And I have to say, I watched it. I succumbed to knowing that I was going to end up seeing what happened with the game anyway, and regardless of what happened, if I was going to get upset, it would have happened whether I watched it or whether I didn't. The result, if it was New England winning, it would have left me feeling, relatively irate. If it was going to make me irate. And I just sat down and I said to myself, you know what? Football is a sport that I love. I'm going to try my best to take I don't want to say an unbiased view because I'm not going to be able to root for New England, but I will say the thing with the Rams, the way that they got in, it just left you feeling like they didn't belong, and they played like they didn't belong. So, when you get right down to it, the Patriots outplayed them. Granted, the Ram defense played bend but don't break ball. They only broke on that one drive, but that's one more drive than the Patriots defense broke on. So to say that the officials took it from the Rams, or that didn't happen this time. Say what you will about what the past has shown New England to be willing to do to win. Without evidence to know that's what evidence do we have? I mean, we don't. I will say, I think it's a bit unfortunate for the National Football League that a guy who was suspended for using pharmaceuticals that enhanced his performance, he got suspended 4 games for that. In baseball, you miss the playoffs. In the NFL, you're eligible. Not only that, in the case of Julian Edelman, he wins the MVP. So I think that's a little bit of a black eye for the NFL. Probably more a black eye for the Rams, that they weren't able to control him more. Why they left him to be a guy that would just be open pretty much most third downs up until maybe the second part of the second half. I don't know, but the comments are kind of slow here tonight, which is fine. So I think that kind of covers the Super Bowl thing. Again, you're welcome to comment, even if you're watching after the fact. I've been known to throw out a response on occasion, but it was, I wouldn't say it was an unwatchable game. I'd say it was the kind of game that I think back in the day you would have enjoyed the physical aspects of the game of football that aren't really there so much anymore. You get the occasional, Jared Goff got popped on the sideline and it was a big controversy. Was he inbounds, out of bounds? He was in bounds. It's a legal hit. But we've just gotten to the point where any hit that is somewhat flagrant in fashion becomes a big controversy. You've got somebody kind of giving Brady a little bit of guff going to the ground after a pass has been thrown. Oh, maybe that should have been a flag. I don't know. The NFL has not done its product too many favors. I know you want players to be safe, and you don't want to see them ruin their lives with hits that can devastate somebody. We know what the CTE stuff can do to somebody's mental state, but I think we've only scratched the surface with all of that. But short of disbanding the sport itself for the inability to put a product together that is I don't know. I think the product can be exciting. I think what you're going to continue to need to see is a move towards the spread college kind of ball, the air raid offense, which makes people who like defense feel like the game isn't that balanced. But when you have a game like this where you just had two offenses that struggled, Brady, he got his almost 300 yards. Edelman went for 140 through the air. But to say that it was a fluid offensive performance from either team would just be a mischaracterization. And so the tabletop. I'm right now still in TBL mode. Doing baseball games. I started this game day, which is May 23rd. We're edging towards halfway. It'll be about 135, so we got about 30 to 35 games until I get to that point, to the halfway mark. But so starting it out, I actually played it before the Blue Jays Yankees game that was an 11-0 spanker by the Bombers. But Detroit and Baltimore went head to head in a game, and it was a run fest, 14-10. The ball was flying. You had homers from Chris Davis, Adam Jones. Let's see who else was able to pop one. Jared Saltalamacchia. It was a bit of a run fest there. So 14-10 was the Orioles on top. Their record is now 9-11, and the Tigers dropped to 8-12. So I have some other games. I posted a graphic on the channel here a couple days ago, which lists the rest of the games. That Baltimore-Detroit game, that's game one of a doubleheader. So I may play the second half of that later in the week. That may be my second game. So I like how you can incorporate doubleheaders into a project, and it forces you to consider player usage, pitcher usage, bullpen moves. Yet you really have to kind of take an extra second or 30 when you're thinking about relief pitching and things like that, because you don't want to leave a team hurting for options from the pen. So let's one moment here as still no comments, but I'll tell you, I really continue to get itching for things like second season. I want to play that Tenacious Football League some more. It's been a month and a half, it seems like, I think, since my last game in that project. I do want to get back out at the soccer. I barely got Hockey Blast broken in on my tabletop, and then I kind of got encouraged to join a Soccer Blast league, which is a draft league. It's definitely interesting, in it with a couple friends, and I'm making more friends as we go, which is great. But, it's really left me with some severe deficiencies in the amount of time that I have to take on everything that I would like to take on the tabletop. And it's something that I'm sure that every single one of us deals with. You might say, well, Earl, you could be playing a game right now and instead you're jibber-jabbering about the Super Bowl and other things. But I don't know. I kind of feel like part of the beauty of what we do on the channel here is not only playing games, but I'm hoping that we make some personal. Personal's the wrong word, but I want you all to have a feel for what I'm about, and I'm about playing tabletop games, but I think there's more to life than that too. So I'll interject some life learnings, some musings about variety of topics here and there, but sometimes it's just really difficult to crank up the camera for a game because the games do take a little bit longer when you're narrating them. But I also want, and so there's a dilemma. There's a balance between just playing a game out and kind of feeling like you're under the gun for, trying to complete a game within an X. What's the X? An hour, 45 minutes, hour and 15. Is there a magic number? I don't know. But there's this, feeling like, man, I want to keep this game moving along. So, but what that doesn't do is always teach why would you do this? Why didn't you consider trying to hit and run? Or why did you consider it? Why did you try getting so-and-so a good lead? What's the theory behind that? Do you have a different theory for different teams? Sometimes it's based on the ratings of the teams, I mean, you've got the Yankees who've got at least a couple guys, and maybe more, who have pretty good steal ratings. Then you've got a team like the Orioles, which are a bit, bereft in, maybe not bereft, but they're lacking players that have a lot of speed. They're obviously built more in the fashion of sort of a slugger team, strikeout and home run and hope. And so that kind of dictates some of the play. But to be able to discuss that in real time when you're playing a game it's not easy. You want to be informative, but you also don't want to make a video that's going to be so long that people just sort of tune out after a few short minutes. So there's that. Okay, got a comment. Glenn Bonesteel. How have my Rovers done so far this season? The Rovers have they're not faring the greatest, but that's okay. It's a work in progress. It's the first time I've done one of these draft leagues. I wasn't real familiar with the Soccer Blast ratings when I did the draft, so I did the best I could. A little bit of bad luck so far too, but there's time. So we're not too far along so far. So there's still some time, but I'm definitely hoping I'm I'm hoping I'm not the team that gets relegated. That would be a little, uh, that would be a bit unfortunate. But I will say MLS, excuse me, I need to wipe my nose here a little bit. MLS is a league that's doesn't have a ton of solid attacking talent. It's not like you have a lot of depth at the high end of things. So, you do the best you can, given the fact. There's lots of teams. There's tends to be more teams than in a regular top division in the rest of international football, as far as like the various countries' leagues, but just feel like there's not much. There's a lot of teams that really don't have an established scorer that's of good quality. So, what do we got? What else do we have here? Yeah, Glenn, I get you. Glenn also says about he thought about joining our league, but that he's in another one. And you really that's life. That's life as a hobbyist. What do I have time to add to my already crunched schedule that I can realistically complete without jeopardizing my sanity or my family or anything like that. My job, put the list down there of all of the real responsibilities we have, and clearly they don't. There are times they don't rate highly enough in our own minds compared to what we've got going on our tabletop, but they have to. It's. So it's a balance, but so yeah, one of our great difficulties is being able to see before we make the decision that we're biting off more than we're chewing. And sometimes we feel it, and sometimes we get away with it. I think the problem is we get away with it enough that it, it's like the thief who takes from a couple stores, and doesn't get caught. It's only when they get caught is when they really get punished. It's you haven't broken the law if you don't get caught. There's that adage. So, kind of the same thing. You say I'm going to join this golf league. I'm going to I have a friend that's invited me to play a poker night. Let's say I'm just thinking of of something. I could go play poker every other Friday night. Do I have time to squeeze that in? I don't know. You name it. There's a lot of things that are out there, and like I said, until we get burned. And sometimes you go through it and you never do get burned. You just end up feeling really maybe like you burnt the candle at both ends, as using another cliche. Glenn wonders about the keeping up with the league. I do know that the manager, well, the commissioner of the league is trying to post updates, I would say especially in the Facebook community, so the Play Games community, run by Al Wilson of, he's a YouTube personality, got some games out there, and Steve Tower as well, Mr. After Further Review. So they've got a community on Facebook, and I think he is trying to periodically update. I know that they're going to be looking for additional managers in the future, so if anybody out there thinks that it's something that sounds interesting to them, We get through this first season, and I don't know, we'll have to see what the plans are for the next iteration. But seeing that there's a new card set out already, another card set from Play for the 2018 MLS season, I believe. Maybe it's 2017. I forget which. I can't even remember which one I have. But we've got another season that, in theory, we could pull from to do a second go around of the league pretty quickly, I think. So if we wanted to, I don't know. We'll see if everybody what kind of like stamina people have, endurance. Do you want to keep going? Do you want to take a little break, et cetera, et cetera? The stuff that hasn't quite been worked out. But yeah, I don't know if he's planning to put it on Delphi at all. But like I said, I know he's put a couple of updates on the Facebook forum. And so if you're not on Facebook, which is possible, then that would be kind of tough for you to see. But I could also try and encourage him to post that to Delphi if you prefer that. But yeah. So other things that are hanging around in the lurking, History Maker Golf. So I had some novel, what I feel like were some novel thoughts on doing some stuff, especially with people who have been friends of the channel. Regretfully, I haven't really been able to do too much with that. And with everything that's gone on, with starting projects and not finishing projects and all that stuff, then I can't. Probably don't have a ton of vim and vigor towards pushing that forward too much at the moment. What I do intend to do is, one way or the other, get back into a Tenacious Golf tour with the fictional cards, and whether I have to morph the golfers myself, or whether there are cards that are released by Play that are updates, one way or the other, we will get a tour in, at least as maybe we get towards the end of spring. I don't know, maybe around the Masters would be a good time to get that started. That's really when I feel like golf. I mean, actually, this weekend is a good weekend to do stuff like that, because it's like Pebble Beach weekend. It's like, NFL is through for several months. You're before pitchers and catchers, so you kind of have a window there. You could probably get some people who have interest in golf, but I'm not going to be able to get around to that. So I may look to around Augusta, not August, Augusta, the Masters in April. So let me see, what else is there. I also have a couple of games, baseball games. Well, the History Maker Baseball, I haven't done much with that. I have the newest version of it, and I really just haven't cracked it open and played anything with it, which is a sad state of affairs. I have card sets of Strat Baseball that I haven't used yet. I have a couple of games a game that was sent to me by, actually a couple of games that was sent to me by a viewer of the channel that again, it's just like the list of things to do feels like 50 deep, and it was based off of the Phillies replay that I did, wanting to see something done about that, and I'm hoping that there'll be a time that I just dust that off and get it worked out. It's learning another game, and it's become daunting. It's just, there's a lot of a lot to learning games. So okay, so from the dugout here, that's things are good. Um, Probably will only do this maybe once a week or so, depending on my schedule. But would kind of like just to do a check in every once in a while, just to in this kind of fashion that isn't game or tutorial related. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of just discussion of general topics. Um, in this kind of format, and maybe I will. It kind of works out a little better because it can be tough to come up with ideas for tutorials or other videos that are like that are instructional. But that's part of what we do this for, is to be creative, and sometimes we just need to challenge ourselves. But anyway, I hope you got something out of this. I think I spoke for probably 15 minutes about the Super Bowl. I think I was pretty fair to New England, which is a good start for me. In terms of maybe I'm finally growing up here at by the time I've hit my midlife crisis, maybe I will have matured to the point of being a well-rounded human being. But if I haven't been, you're welcome to comment. If the Rams feel like I was especially hard on them, I mean, that's too bad. But I think you have to be realistic and say that was not a great game, and for you guys. And I think McVay and Goff will be thinking about that for a while. Maybe they'll get back next year, but they better hope they get another chance, because they pissed that one away. But and we just had some talk about the different projects going on. Yeah, definitely leave a comment if you have any feedback on what you'd like to see more of on the channel here. Do our best to do it, whether it's me, whether it's Tabletop Earl. We both try to give you guys stuff to watch that isn't just your same old boring TV shows that are on network television, or other stuff that Puppy Bowl, or whatever, Real Housewives, etc., etc. I'm hoping that we can offer an alternative that you guys can get some enjoyment out of. But it's also a matter of making it relevant and making it something that makes you desire to watch it. That there's a reason behind it. So if you could hit like if you liked the video, you can hit the thumbs down if you didn't. I will try not to get my feelings hurt. Trying to work on that. Again, leave a comment if you have any thoughts on what's going on, and you can spread the word if you want to. The Tenacious Dugout, it's not very big, but when we've got all of you in spirit on the channel here, we can fit just about everybody in here, and try to give everybody a chance to get their questions answered, or at the very least the best I can do. So all right, Tenacious Earl saying goodbye here from the dugout, and just keep your nose to the grindstone and keep rolling your games, and I hope y'all have a great rest of the week here. Hope to see you later in the week with another game in the Tenacious Baseball League, and till then, see you later. And unfortunately, I don't have a little splash screen here, so I am just going to have to hit end and say bye.